All right, hello. Welcome to I think the sixth devlog. It's been a while, that's for sure. Progress has been slow, mostly because after not making my January deadline, I just decided to take a bit of time just to relax. Took a bit too much time, I think, but I'm getting back on it. I've been working a good bit in the last couple of days. This looks obviously completely different, I'm sure. Uh, This was just this part was going way too far down, like super far down the screen. And a lot of the stuff I had planned to put over here was I thought would be better on the combat, like AC, HP, temp HP, all that. Like I was like, well, I mean, you really don't need to know all of that unless you're like in the middle of combat. I mean, yeah, sometimes you might like jump off a roof and fail an athletics check. You might need to see your HP, but for the most part, I think it's mostly in combat, so I figured I'd put it in the combat page, especially AC. But that's not what we're here for, is it? We're here to know how I did all of this, I guess. Um, it was pretty simple. Um, first, first things first. You also might notice these. This is smaller. I decided to basically half every row, make it half as small, and just like the things that are still big, I just made them go to two rows through two rows now. So like, yeah, I don't remember if I talked about the race last time, but it's pretty. It was pretty hard to code, to be honest, and obviously not all the races are here, but um, basically I click on this, it adds a modifier. Dragonborn and Birdfolk are the same, which is unfortunate, so I can't really test all of them. But Catfolk here, it adds the modifier. I also added a subrace, but subrace is something in the my actual rule book I want to change because it's not very systematic on like what gets added, which makes it hard to code. And yeah, that's basically it. Like sometimes they'll add a card, sometimes they'll add like a modifier, sometimes it'll add like a card and a modifier, or sometimes it's like just make you trained in a skill. It's a whole mess. So right now, you just basically what it does is whenever you click the bird folk or the dragonborn or whatever, it gets the sub races, and you can select only those sub races. Because it wouldn't really make sense if you were a bird folk and you could select the dragonborn sub races. So yeah. Um. Also, oh, it doesn't do that apparently. But on the races, it gets rid of the select a race. But yeah, I'll get to sub races eventually. Probably after I finish these other pages, just because it's not super important or high on my priority list. Um, yeah. I also added all the skills. They even correspond with like the right whatever. It's just like I add like it's just a bunch of for loops. They all go through it. They go through like every skill. I have like a list of all the skills. It goes through every single one. It's like, oh, is this a strength skill? Okay, well, there's only one strength skill, but so really, I could have gone through just I could have just added an if instead of whatever. It doesn't matter. Um, actually, I think I'm not looking at the code right now, but basically, yeah, it's like, is it a dex skill? Okay, cool. Then find the dex modifier. Then train whatever expert. I've already gone over all that. Next is background. Background I'm pretty proud of. Well, actually, no, I was more proud of the. Sorry, I was proud of the races. Background is basically just the races, but copied, and it's. I actually do have all the backgrounds. I just decided to do it for some reason. But yeah, it. Every background gives you +2 to like anything, any of one of these. So yeah. Uh, I mean, it'll add more, but that's mostly in the inventory and cards part, which I haven't gotten to. Um, Again, very slow. XP, you can write a huge number, but it will eventually get out of the box and you won't be able to tell what's happening. Though it shouldn't ever really get above 5 digits, anyways, for any system. But it can go up to, well, yeah, it can go up to 6 digits. So, if for some reason your system has like 7 digits, it's a bad system. Also added some just easy buttons because I didn't know how else to format this. That's also why coding has been so slow and I haven't done a devlog. I got into a funk because I didn't know how I wanted to format things, and formatting is the first thing you have to do. It's the actual coding afterwards that's easy. I finally figured it out. I might change this add 100 to subtract 25, but yeah, it does this. Now this is the coolest part. This is the coolest part right here. Let's say, for instance, your stats are this. I don't know, 8. Now it will remember everything, including like your everything, but you know your sub race, because I don't have anything with that, so it's too much effort. But yeah, you can see I hit the skills, so that basically reloads this all, and it remembers how much XP you have, how much your name, how many hero points, your modifiers for everything, your skills. So I feel like this will show it a little bit better. It still remembers. So I added the local storage. Yeah. All right. On to the part I know how to explain better. Just, I don't know. The front end is just like, oh yeah, it looks pretty, basically. Let's see. What have I added since the last time? A lot, honestly. Um, this roll function, basically just in the console for every skill and like reflex saving throw, it just will get a number between 1 and 20, and then it'll add the mod of your skill. So if you have like a modifier of 6 and you roll, like, it'll get a number that's like 16, and then you add 6, oh, it's 22, and then it sends it to the console. Because I don't have anywhere else to send it right now because I haven't made that part. Select race. Okay, yeah, this is something new I've added. I know that for sure. This is just a bunch of variables, and this is storing the race. So if the current race is blank, what it does is it will get rid of the like select a race. And then I made a while loop. I think this probably could have been a for loop, but I made a while loop. Basically, if current race, which is, I'm not sure. Oh, current race is sorry, it's a not a local variable, so it's not in here. But basically, if current race isn't equal to this, the thing that was clicked, like the button that was clicked, it will go to the next race. It will go to the next race, and then add 1 to X. Yeah, then it goes through, keeps on going through. This is the math to put the sub races in. I'm gonna be honest, it works somehow. I don't know how, but it does. I basically got it to work through experimentation, not really through, you know, skill of my expert coding. But I just like fiddled with the numbers, and eventually it worked. So that's cool. Then we subtract 1 from X because technically it's 1 above what we need it to be. Then we set the stats equal to this list of stats which correspond to the races. So we could see like birdfolk, catfolk, dragonborn. Then we have the race stat, strength and wisdom, dex and charisma, strength and wisdom. So if I added like goblin to it, that would be like dex and constitution or whatever, and it would be in the right place. So like if goblin was in the fourth slot, dex constitution would be in the fourth slot of race stat, basically, or fourth index, whatever. Um, so yeah, that's how it gets it. Then it will get the substring of the correct one. So the first stat is from the first to the third, or from the zeroth, I guess, to the technically the second, because it cuts off the number you put, and then the second one is just from the third to the end. So I just put 3. This this part was annoying because technically this value here is a string, which is, how do I put it, annoying, because I tried, well, so like in Java you have to like declare what a variable is. Like you have to be like, it's an integer or just string, and then you have to like typecast it. But with JavaScript, you kind of have no clue what it is. It just is something. So I tried to add, and usually it will like form to it. So if you try to add 2 to it, it will be like, oh, if it's a number, it'll make it, if it starts out as 2 and it's a number, it'll be 4. But if it's a string, it will be 22. So, I did this without the number, this number part here, and I was getting back 22. I'm like, well, that's not right. And so I tried a lot of different things. I tried the math function, just because usually what you do is you're like, oh, math, do math here, right? But that didn't work, so I made it into a number, because there's like a million different ways to make a variable into a number, and none of them worked except for this one. Then you add 2. Then you change the value of this into stat, because it was added 2, and yeah. Then I store it locally so that I can get it later whenever you hit the skills button. Do that for the second one. And yeah. Oh, and then you have to calculate the mods for everything. All the skills, everything. And you can make the subrace selector work. Because before, if you don't have a race, well, you shouldn't be able to select a subrace. So yeah. That's the first time you go through. Second time, I remove all of the children of the subrace. So like, if it was a dragon, I remove gold, blue, silver, whatever, because the subrace, those aren't the right subraces, so you gotta get rid of them. And then oh yeah, then I add the select a subrace again, so that it says that, rather than like the first subrace of the new race. Because this is what happens if this is like not the first time you're selecting a race. Then, yeah, it just appends that, whatever. Then you have to subtract the like stat boost you gave from before, from the last race. So that's what all this is doing. All of this here. And then this is the same thing as before. All of this is the same thing as before. So yeah. That is selecting a subrace, or selecting a race. Very, very big. It is over 100 lines long. I'm sure it could be made better, but that's how it goes. Like, I'm sure I could, instead of individually writing all this out each time, I'm sure I could make a for loop, but I didn't. So that's how it is for now. And it probably will be forever. Well, not forever, for a while. Select background. Okay, let's get to that. Again, this is like literally the same thing as the like race, except for there's only one stat to increase. This will probably eventually get worse than the race, because I have to like add things like the items you get and the cards you get and whatever. But for now, it's easier. XP is a very fun one. Basically, if you type in the XP, it calls this function, ooh, and then it sets this global variable to the value of XP, basically. This is if you hit the button, it figures out which button you clicked, and then it will add the corresponding amount, either 25 or 100. Okay, let's see. I added a bunch of things. I mean, it's the same as before, like option, select, a text area, div, whatever. The front end stuff you can tell I care a lot less about. I guess I can talk about how I like made it so that it remembers, but it's pretty simple. I just like for the score, like for the ability score, just every time it's typed, it updates it, and then it will get it if it exists. It won't get it if it doesn't exist. So like the first time you load the page, like the very first time, like this is the first time you've ever gone onto a character page, it won't do anything. But anytime after that, it would remember. Except for not really right now because I clear the local storage every time I load it up for testing purposes, obviously. I guess I could go through this because it's kind of a lot. um, but yeah, I made this a while ago, so basically this is just setting up all the variables to use later. Like, oh, this is well actually it's the mixture of setting up for like down here to like calculate the right modifier, but it's also like adding things like to each individual. So like for every skill you need to add, you need to make the visuals. So, some of this is like creating it and then appending it and like giving it IDs and classes. Then some of it, like down here, we do. Where is it? Oh yeah. So like for here, we go through a list of like every strength ability, and we say, oh, this if this item, which is actually not the same sub item, whatever, if it equals the item of the strength, make ability this, and do that for every ability, so that we can put it down here and put down the right one, so it can calculate the right modifier. But then, kind of pointless. But I mean, this is for the first time you go through, but it's kind of pointless because then we do that again. Where is it? Oh yeah, we do it here again, and we calculated it again. But that's only if the skill like has been changed at all, like the training. So yeah, I think that's it for this one. I've been dreading making this because I knew there'd be just a bunch of stuff I forgot because it's been like a month since I made the last one. Oh well.